Do you ever feel like you know all the right words in English, but they just don't come out sounding natural? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful technique called shadowing. I'm telling you, by the end of this, you'll have a tool that can completely transform your spoken English, making you sound way more fluent. Let's get right into it.
So first up, let's talk about a super common frustration that I'm sure a lot of you have felt. I call it the fluency problem. You know, it's that gap between knowing the language and actually sounding like you know the language. So, does this ring a bell? You spent hours and hours on grammar, you've got a decent vocabulary, but when you go to speak, something just feels off, right? Maybe it sounds a little robotic, or you just can't seem to find that natural flow. It's like you know the words, but you're missing the music of the language. And this is exactly the problem we're going to solve today. So, what's the fix for this whole fluency problem? Well, it's a simple but honestly an incredibly effective method called shadowing. Okay, so what is it exactly? Well, to put it simply, shadowing is when you listen to some audio and you repeat what you hear as you hear it, in real time. You don't hit pause, you speak right along with the recording, just a tiny split second behind. You're basically their echo.
Now, this is really important. This is not your typical listen and repeat drill from language class. In that old method, it's all sequential, right? You listen, you stop, then you speak. But with shadowing, the listening and speaking are simultaneous. They overlap. And that, right there, is the secret sauce. That's what builds that real-time automatic fluency that we're all after.
The real heart of shadowing is mimicry. It's all about copying, and you're not just copying the words. No, you're copying the entire delivery. That means you're matching their exact pronunciation, their intonation, the melody of their voice, and also their stress, their rhythm, even where they pause. You're essentially becoming their vocal double.
Now here's a tip that might sound a little weird at first, but trust me on this. When you first start, do not worry about understanding every single word. The goal is to focus purely on the form, on the sounds themselves. This actually frees up your brain. It reduces the mental load so you can concentrate on the physical part of making the sounds correctly.
So why is this so effective? What's actually going on here? Let's take a quick look at how shadowing literally rewires the way you speak.
The best way to think about it is like you're learning an instrument, or maybe a sport. Shadowing is like taking your mouth to the gym. You're training the muscles in your tongue and your lips to make the specific shapes and sounds of English without even thinking about it. You're building that all-important muscle memory.
And the benefits here are just huge. You're not just improving one little thing, you're upgrading your entire speaking system. First, pronunciation. You're physically practicing the movements. Then, intonation and rhythm. You'll start to master that natural English melody. Your listening skills will get way sharper because you're paying such close attention. And the big one? Fluency. This helps you produce whole chunks of language automatically, instead of, getting stuck translating every single word in your head.
Okay, so you get why it works. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually do it? Here's a super simple 5-step guide you can start using literally today. Honestly, the process couldn't be more straightforward. First, you're going to choose your audio. Then, give it a quick listen, just to get the gist of it. After that, you just dive in and start shadowing. Using a transcript can be a huge help at the beginning. And finally, and this is a great one, record yourself so you can actually hear your progress.
Now, for that first step, choosing your audio, here are a few things to keep in mind. First off, keep it short. 1 to 3 minutes is absolutely perfect. Second, make sure you find a clear speaker, no heavy background music or noise. And finally, be deliberate about the accent you want to practice. Things like TED Talks, podcasts, or news reports are all fantastic sources to get you started.
All right, we've covered the what, the why, and the how. It's time to bring it all home and get you totally ready for your first shadow session. So if you only remember one thing from all this, please let it be this. You do not need to be perfect. When you start, I promise you, you are going to stumble, you're going to miss words, and that's 100% fine. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. A few minutes of practice, done regularly, is going to lead to incredible results.
And that brings us to the end. I want to leave you with one final question. To really turn this knowledge into action, don't just think about it, do it. What 1-minute clip, maybe from a podcast you love or a talk you just watched, are you going to choose to shadow first?